Hey guys, this is Zexonite. Welcome to the Zex Talk and welcome to Shiny September. This is a series I'm doing this month where I take a look at my favorite and least favorite shiny Pokemon of each generation. And today, we're taking a look at my least favorite shinies from Generation 2. Let's get right into it. Number 5. Yanma is kind of a meh Pokemon. There might be some people out there who like it, maybe, but I don't think it's one that tends to wow people or hold its own in competitive or even really gets remembered that much. It's just very meh. But one thing I can say is that its original coloring was decent. It's not amazing or anything, but it's decent. The red body resembles that of the red-veined darter dragonfly, so the base color makes sense. The mask is a complementary green color, which goes pretty well with the red chosen for the body, and the wings make sense as mostly white in order to give the illusion that they're meant to be transparent. Too bad it all goes to shit when it turns shiny. I mentioned in my favorites of Generation 2 list that I tend to like the electric blue shinies. Well, here's one for you that I really hate. They changed the color of the body, which I think makes sense, but they didn't change the color of the mask. And these two colors do not go together. It would have made sense if they had recolored the mask to be something like a light orange, which is blue's complement. This would make sense because the green of the original mask is complementary to its red body, as I've stated. But this blue and this green just don't work. It just looks bad. Number 4. There are kind of a lot of green shinies in this generation that just look gross. I can understand why this is. This was the first generation to have shiny Pokemon, and I realized that the Game Boy Color was limited in what it could do. That said, you'd think they'd change these to look better or fit better with the original vision as the technology got better, and yet, so many of these still look bad. Stantler is one such case, I feel. Looking at the Gen 2 sprites, I can see where they went with this coloring. Here, it just looks like a lighter yellowish brown color, but in Ruby and Sapphire, somebody apparently translated that as green, and as time's gone on, it just gets more and more neon looking. They toned it down a bit in Gen 6, but it's still really strangely green. The original shiny color made sense enough for Stantler, but how did it get to be so green? What's wrong with it? Did someone spill their Mountain Dew all over it? Has it suffered from radiation poisoning after years of experimental testing? Did someone take it to a rave and it ate a bunch of glow sticks? Seriously, don't even tell me this thing doesn't glow in the dark if I turn off the lights. It's just so nonsensical from so many angles, and worst of all, it doesn't even look good in the end. Stantler, whatever they did to you that made you this way, I just apologize, man. You didn't deserve this. Number 3. Do you remember my Sucky Shinies video where I said that Miltank's coloring made her look like she was drowned? I still hold that sentiment to an extent, but with Miltank, at least she has sort of a lively face. And in Gen 6 they changed the color slightly to a more vibrant blue, which keeps it from looking like it was drowned anymore. Shiny Snubbull, on the other hand, looked dead from day one and it looks dead today. I said Miltank looked like it was drowned? No, that doesn't even compare to the decomposing corpse that Snubbull looks like. And while Snubbull tends to have a vivacious, if not high-maintenance personality, it still has a very snobbish face, which in this context makes it look like an angry, vengeful ghost. This isn't helped by the fact that Snubbull has especially puffy cheeks, so in addition to looking like it's had a lack of air for too long, it also looks like it's bloated from being underwater too long. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense coming from me. I like Snubbull, I hate pink, I like purple, so by all logic, I should love this shiny. But it's just all the wrong shades in all the wrong places. It just looks creepy and gross. Given my color preferences as well as my Pokemon preferences, this one is just horribly disappointing. Number 2. On practically every one of these lists, there's an obligatory pink Pokemon. And that's not just me deciding that I needed to put a pink Pokemon on every one of these lists, it was actually to cut back and add more variety, to be honest. Because I think if I had my way, all the worst ones would just be all the pink ones and I'd be done with it. I've tried to keep it down to one at a maximum. I didn't want to give the same tired reason that doesn't really have much rationale behind it and is entirely based on color bias. It didn't seem fair and it didn't seem interesting. That said, I couldn't help a bunch still creeping onto these lists. I tried to pick ones that either made the least sense or were the most offensive. Luckily, this time around, I got both. Why the fuck is Lugia pink? I really don't get it. The only thing I could guess is that maybe it fit with its psychic typing. Even then, there's nothing to say that we have to make all psychic Pokemon pink. Most aren't. So why is Lugia pink? I already mentioned this in my Sucky Shinies video, but I cannot for the life of me understand why, if they made Ho-Oh gold, did they not make Lugia silver? Not only would that have made a ton of sense, but it would have looked freaking kick-ass. Actually, I have an idea of something that might have worked out well. So, Ho-Oh Shiny is primarily gold with accents of silver here and there, and then red to represent the fire typing. So, what would have been really cool is if the bulk of Lugia's body, what's the white part for normal Lugia, were silver, and then have the back fins be gold as an accent. As something that alludes to the game that it's from in the way that Ho-Oh does, but also represents the generation as a whole. And then, I don't know, if you really feel like you need a color based on the typing, make the underbelly pink or something. That would have made for a really nice coloring, but nope! Yet another badass Pokemon struck down by a case of the pinks. When will people learn? When will they learn? Number 1. Originally, this one was in my number 2 spot, but when I went back and looked at it, I recoiled in such a way that made me put it at the number 1 spot. Shiny Misdreavus is just ugly. This is another case of what I'm going to start referring to as second gen syndrome, where a Pokemon from Generation 2 had a shiny that kind of made sense in context, but when it moved to either the GBA or the DS, it wasn't translated well, and it got to be really ugly. It seems kind of pointless to name this phenomenon now that I'm at the end of the list, but whatever. In Gen 2, you could kind of see where they were going with the coloring. It is a weird greenish brown tone, but it has yellow highlights. It kind of looks like it was meant to be bronze or gold, which I could totally get behind. Gen 3 wasn't so bad, it still looks like it could be some sort of bronze. But then we get to Gen 4 and everything goes to shit. We get this weird green and this yellow that doesn't match, and red gems which also don't match. And now in Gen 6 we have this monstrosity. Puke green, shit brown, red that doesn't go with anything. Because these colors are so ugly that nothing could go with them. This is the ugliest rendition of Misdreavus to date. What did Misdreavus do to you guys? Did she key your cars and shit in your shoes or something? Actually, given that it's Misdreavus, that might not be too far off there. But still, this seems uncalled for. Someone had to have known how badly these colors look together post-Gen 2, right? Right? Shiny Misdreavus just looks awful. One of the worst out there. I feel bad because Misdreavus is kind of a cool looking Pokemon, and its original color scheme is pretty good and works well for it. But someone just decided to shit all over that awesome train. If this were a top 10 worst shiny list for all Pokemon, Misdreavus would definitely be on it. Misdreavus, on behalf of all trainers and the fact that I don't want you to freak me the fuck out while I'm trying to sleep, I apologize for this horrible shiny coloring. That's it for this Shiny September's X Talk, but the next one will be out soon. Thank you for watching, hopefully I will see you in the next video, and goodbye to you all, sirs and madams, and everyone in between.